the other piece that I talk about, though, during this is attachment theory. It's a little bit of a divergent kind of subject. Not every psychologist would tell you that you need to know attachment theory to be compassionate to yourself. But I really have a strong belief that blueprints in our brain really guide our processes. And blueprints in your brain started in your families of origin. One of the most important parts of how we learn or create our blueprints is in our attachment to our major caregivers, okay? So attachment theory, John Bowlby, Mary Ainsworth, these are some of the big names kind of years and years back, 50s, 60s. Mary Ainsworth in particular, she did this great study where she took these toddlers and their mamas, gender roles, I know, but it was the 60s, 50s, 60s. She took them into what she called a stranger situation or a strange situation. So essentially, mommy and toddler go in a room. Toddler gets to see all these toys, plays with the toys while mommy's there. Mommy gets up and leaves. Toddler has a breakdown, probably. Mommy comes back, and they watched what happened between mommy and toddler after mommy came back in. And here is what was interesting is that they all kind of went into about 3 categories. The first is secure. And secure means that kiddo was mad, did its thing to mom like mad, not liking that they had gone, and almost immediately was able to go back, came back, got consoled, got hugged, were able to go back and start playing. Now, what's remarkable about that is that means the internal blueprint for this kiddo is that this parent is consistent, and even when they go away, they can always expect that parent will come back. That's the key. The other 2 categories are anxious attachment and avoidant attachment, and really it's just about what they did in those moments. Anxious kids kind of stayed with mama when she came back in and couldn't get off the lap and couldn't play again, and avoidant style really they would avoid mom. They got mad, they yelled, and then they just pretended mama wasn't in the room. Now, these attachment styles travel with us into adulthood. You have them. I promise you, you have a variant of them. And just like everything else I've talked about tonight, they're a blueprint in your brain, and your brain can be rewired. So if you were anxiously attached early in your life, it does not mean that you're not securely attached in a great marriage or something now. It just means that's where it started. And I believe in giving you the tools that you need to know and giving you the information that you need to know to really employ self-compassion. And one of the reasons I bring up attachment theory is I think that self-critic in large part gets developed depending on if we're securely attached, if we're anxiously attached, or if we're avoidantly attached, where there's now a new category, which is like a combination of anxious and avoidant. I think that securely attached people have more of an idea of internal locus of control, meaning like they know they make the choices in their life. They make the changes, they make the calls, they make the mistakes, but they also make the, how to fix those mistakes, how to problem solve through that. So if you're securely attached, you tend to have a quieter self-critic, If you're anxiously and avoidantly or avoidantly attached, you tend to have a louder self-critic. You also tend to have an external locus of control, meaning your perspective from childhood on is, I have no control of my world. I will be a victim of the circumstances in my world. Mom left, couldn't do anything about that, right? Whereas the securely attached kid knew, she'll come back, I'm scared, and my map is mom always comes back, primary caregiver always comes back. So the reason I think this is important to know is that when you're talking about self-compassion, it's really hard if you're anxiously or avoidantly attached to truly believe that you're going to show up for yourself every time. I know that seems just like wickedly weird. Like, how did I become my own primary caretaker? I don't know, but you did. So I'm just telling you, what's happening is your self-critic is going to get super mouthy and get worse before she gets better. And here is why. She believes that you have drank Kool-Aid and she don't like it. And she's like, Dr. Natalie is a kook. And no, being nice and kind to ourselves does not help us. But it does. So she'll get worse because she's anxious that eventually this isn't going to work. Or she'll avoid the idea of doing it or avoid feeling and being a self-critic because she doesn't believe that that's going to work. And so I do think it's really important to have some understanding of this attachment theory stuff. You don't have to have a psychology degree in it. Just be aware of it. Have some idea of where you lie and why that might also become another reason why you have effortful reasons to try and employ self-compassion, okay? Self-compassionate awareness, such a superpower. Once you get it going, then that locus of control is completely on the inside. Because even if you don't control what happens to you, you control how you respond. And that's really the shift that happens. And not only do you control how you respond in such a way that is advantageous for creating new behavior that is what you want to see, not what you don't want to see. Because think about this, when your self-critic is showing up, is she talking about the things that you've done well in your life? She talking about the things that you like about yourself? What is she talking about? All the stuff you hate. Guess what? If I ask you to look around the room and name 5 things that are blue, I have lots of them. If I tell you to close your eyes and now tell me 5 things that were red, your brain did not have that assignment, so it won't do that very well. It's called cognitive bias. And if our self-critic has our attention most of the time, our cognitive bias is that things are pretty shitty, when in actuality, they're pretty balanced. So if we are able to practice self-compassion, we are focused on, first of all, pretty reality-based things. Like, I don't like that I didn't talk to my kid for 2 weeks. What a shitty mom move. Totally shitty mom move. And totally understandable given the duress that I was under. So when I'm compassionate, I see a good mom who did a bad thing instead of a bad mom. That's why it's so powerful. We can change our behavior. We can't change who we are. I know, like, mic drop, right? Like, this is huge stuff. And so this self-compassionate awareness, it is the key. And I'm telling you, if you're ready for it, let's do it. I want to help you with this. This is going to change the map of your life. You will be able to grow into somebody that can pivot out of anything, any challenge that comes your way, anything that you want to change about yourself, anything, you will be able to navigate. Self-compassionate awareness is the building block, rather, of that for you. Compassionate self-awareness. Stay compassionately self-aware. I promise you, you too are going to learn to love your story if you do this.